We did it. The baseball season is back. Who's excited? That's true. All right. With the baseball season back, I'm going to be going through each division and talking about who I see coming out of that division and basically how the season's going to go for each of those teams. I'm going to start with the AL East, and every video I'm going to go through another division till July 23rd, July 24th when the season actually starts. Before I get into how I run down of the division is going to go, I want to explain just more broadly what the AL East is going to face this season. So obviously we went over the new rules on our Instagram, so you can go check those out there. But one of the big rules is the change in opponents. So for this season, to minimize exposure, minimize travel, the AL East in every division is going to be playing 40 of their 60 games in division, and then the other 20 games they're going to be playing with their geographical counterparts, so the NL East. The AL East has some really good teams. Rays and Yankees mainly, but the Red Sox and the Blue Jays are definitely still really good teams. The Orioles, no. But the NL East is a whole nother ballgame. The NL East is stacked. They're going to have to play 4 games against teams like the Braves, Phillies, Mets, Nationals. 4, in my opinion, very good teams that make the NL East probably the best division in baseball right now. And that's something that you have to keep in mind when I talk about where I think everyone's going to land, because all these divisions are different, all the schedules are different, all the opponents are different from previous seasons. With that being said, let's go right into how I think the division's going to stack out, the standings, how I think it's going to all go, and then I'll get into the individual teams. Shouldn't be a surprise, but I'm going to have the New York Yankees at the number 1 spot, 37-23. Next up is going to be the Tampa Bay Rays. They're going to end up being 34-26. Then the Blue Jays, just inching their way ahead of the Red Sox, are going to be 32-28. They didn't have the greatest 2019, but their young players are only going to get better. So next team, Boston Red Sox. That's going to come as a shock for many people, but I have them in the 4th worst in the division, but also kind of 4th best because they're a solid team. But the Red Sox are going to be, in my opinion, 31-29. Obviously a big difference between them and the Orioles. So they're not at the same terrible level as the Orioles, but they're not as good as the top of the division. So number 5 being the worst in the division. This shouldn't be a surprise, but I'm going to have the Baltimore Orioles not doing well. Once again, they have nothing going for them, but I'll hold off on that. On my little notepad, I have the standings. I think the Orioles are going to go 21-39. Shouldn't be a surprise, but I have the Yankees at the number 1 hole. This one hurts for me. Obviously, I'm a Mets fan. I've said it over and over again. They're going to have a really good season. They have basically everyone returning besides Didi Gregorius, who didn't have that great of a 2019. And if anyone forgot, they signed Garrett freaking Cole. So their rotation is there. Garrett Cole, Masahiro Tanaka, Luis Severino's out for the season, but this period gave players like James Paxton to get healthy, Aaron Judge, Stanton even more healthy, I guess. They have everything going for them. There's no reason that they shouldn't get deep into the playoffs, and that hurts for me to say. But if I'm going to say it, you have to trust that. I think the Yankees are going to have a really good season. The next team I want to talk about coming in the number 2 hole is the Tampa Bay Rays. For me, I'm pretty high on the Rays. They had a great 2019, a surprising 2019. And that surprising 2019 came with some players that really improved and showed why the Rays are a very good team in AL and in baseball in general. The Rays have most of their lineup that they had last season, which did really well for them. They're coming into 2020 with healthy Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Charlie Morton, and they signed an outfielder from Japan, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to look it up. From a Japanese outfield transfer, Yoshitomo Tsuko, if I got that wrong. Sorry. They're one of the teams that used an opener for a lot of their games. An opener is when a relief pitcher basically starts the first 2 innings and then they go straight to the bullpen. So they need to have 3 solid pitchers, but they also have a bullpen that seems to be able to have a lot of depth to them and help the Rays play as good as they did last year, and I think they're going to play as well this year as well. The next team I want to talk about, probably surprising, a lot of people are going to put them in the 4 hole, but I'm going to put the Blue Jays at number 3. I think the Blue Jays have a lot going for them. They signed Hee-Jun Ryu. Their rotation's coming into form somewhat, but I think what really is key for them is their young players. Vladimir Guerrero, Bichette, Biggio. They have young players on this team that are very all-around good players. Obviously, Vladimir Guerrero, offensive, a beast. Didn't have the greatest rookie season, but I still expect a lot from him. And I think their rotation is good enough that it can play alongside their offense and still give them the number 3 hole in the American League. All right, the next team I want to talk about, this is going to be a surprise. Coming in number 4 is the Boston Red Sox. I think that the Red Sox are going to really suffer this season. They came off an 84-win season last year, and they got, everyone can agree, worse. They lost Mookie Betts. They lost Alex Cora to the sign-stealing scandal. Two key people in the Red Sox organization are no longer there. They still have players like Andrew Benintendi, Rafael Devers, JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts. They still definitely have talent on their team. I just think that the AL East is so stacked right now. They don't have enough talent. The AL East is a very good division. There's teams at the top of the division that I think can do very well. I think the Red Sox will have a good season, but not as good as the top 3 teams, in my opinion. This is definitely going to come as a surprise when I say the Red Sox are going to be 4th, because they still do have talent on their team. I just think they lost Chris Sale to Tommy John surgery. He's gone. They have pitchers like Eduardo Rodriguez, Nathan Eovaldi, Martin Perez. They do have talent on their team, and I don't want to say that they don't. There's a big difference between the Orioles and the Red Sox this season. The Red Sox are nowhere close to how bad the Orioles are, but I just don't think, with all the losses that the Red Sox had, they're pretty much disappointing 2019. They lost key players, key people, and I don't see them being able to be atop of the AL East. So, number 5, Orioles. They have no player that I want to highlight in their 2020 season, which just goes to show you how bad I think the Orioles are going to be this season. There's no one that I think is going to have a good season for them or is going to be impactful enough that they're not number 5 and they're not the worst team in baseball. They had a terrible 2019, they had a terrible 2018. They're at the bottom of the AL East for sure, and trust me, for Orioles fans that are watching this, I'm a Mets fan. I know how it is to be a terrible team, and I don't want to come at this like a pessimistic person looking at the Orioles, but if you're an Orioles fan, let me know what the Orioles have going for them, because I really don't know.